So you want to do a biopic on a star that you're really kind of enamored with. Now, if you're going to detail the low point of that star's life, well, how do you balance your myth and your legend against possible reality? Cinematic class is about to begin, and the professor is in. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Fiore, your cinematic professor, and tonight we're talking about a biopic based on the life, or segment of the life, of Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen, certainly iconic in his memory, the ultimate bad boy, if you will, rebel. But life wasn't always such. He had a spell where, coming off of something as hot as Bullitt, he hit a couple of really bad movies. One was Le Mans, a movie that really was a labor of love for him and something that he wanted to do. And what happened with that is the studio came in, kind of took the film out of his hands. He was very unhappy with the way it turned out. It bombed at the box office and was a bad critical mess too. And he followed Le Mans up with Junior Bonner, which also didn't do exceptionally well. And it wasn't until later when he would do Papillon that things. And what this movie does is the movie concentrates on that downtime when he was losing his grasp on the box office, when younger stars were starting to challenge him for his box office role, and when things in his personal life just weren't working out the way he wanted. Now, the movie is called Chasing Bullitt, but not originally. Originally, the movie was called GT390. That's the type of Mustang that he had in Bullitt, and it plays a central part in the story and the telling of this story in the movie. When you hear a movie called GT390, unless you're dealing with car enthusiasts, that probably would be lost on a lot of the potential audience. So the movie was changed, its name was changed to Chasing Bullitt, something more that film goers could identify with. However, the version I saw had not yet been updated, so the title of the movie in both the opening credits and the end credits still said GT390, which was kind of cool in a way. The movie is not bad. It was written and directed by Joe Eddy, and you can tell that Eddy has he's really enamored, what they call, I guess, man crush on Steve McQueen. So he's trying his best in his script to maintain his aura and his myth and his legend, but at the same time he's detailing a period in his life when, wow, Murphy's Law, whatever could go wrong, did go wrong. And Eddy kind of does it in a way that preserves the myth, and you got to kind of think, well, maybe it wasn't quite that smooth for old Steve-O. It might have been a little bit rougher than what we see in the movie. The tale is a good tale. I want to talk a little bit about the technical aspects because Daniel Stilling serves as director of photography, and Stilling has a thing where he likes to do the 360 shot. Now, I don't have anything against the 360 shot. One of my favorite DPs is Tak Fujimoto. Tak is, he's got to be about 79 or 80 years old now, so I am pretty sure he's retired and out of the business. But back in his heyday, when he was, one of the most sought-after cinematographers in Hollywood, he would incorporate the 360 shots, and he really did it well. He did it with aplomb. And Stilling here, Daniel Stilling, tries to do the same thing, but he does a couple of things wrong. First, he uses too many of them. The 360 shot is a shot that's meant for some kind of cinematic emphasis or punctuation mark, if you will. And Stilling uses it just so much that it becomes not a technique, but more like a gimmick. And now when you combine that with Harvey Mushman's editing, Harvey holds scenes too long. especially the 360 scenes. Now, the 360 scenes are supposed to be timed just to get the effect done between usually it's two people talking, to get the effect done and then get out of it. But man, he keeps this thing rotating and rotating, and it's past the point of being comfortable with it. So in that aspect, and then Mushman, for his part too, falls into the trap that a lot of independent movies fall into, and that is they hold shots and scenes for way too long. And it's something that, in a more studio-driven, it would be cut down a little bit, because you got to understand the time span of your audience. Their attention span is not going to, carry through a lot of those artistic, we'll wait, several minutes before he raises an eyebrow or something like that. So those technical things were a little bit plaguing, and they pull this movie down a little bit. But I do got to say that Andre Brooks plays Steve McQueen in the movie, and wow, does he have Steve McQueen down. I mean, he not only has the look in the face, he's got the mannerisms down, and he's got for the most part, he's got the tone and the quality of the voice, the little speech patterns. He has those down as well, and that makes it kind of fun to watch. There's times you'll think, yeah, it's Steve, There's just a few times where you go, nah, that's a guy playing Steve. So it's not a bad put together. Hey, if you're a big fan of Steve McQueen, I think you're going to like this movie. It does deal with a real downside in his life, but I think Eddie does a really good job in keeping the mythos surrounding Steve McQueen alive and well, even though this is probably a sore spot in his career and in his life. The name of the movie is Chasing Bullitt, but don't be too surprised if you see it on some of the streaming devices as GT390. Could show up either way, I would imagine. Chasing Bullitt, I think you'll enjoy it, especially if you enjoy Steve McQueen, or if you just enjoy stories about actors from that time in Hollywood. Hey, I've got some footage for this movie and a little bit more to say about it on the latest episode of Outtakes. We're up to 565 episodes that we've produced and made. That's pretty good. And you'll be able to catch that soon on Vimeo, and of course on the greater Pittsburgh market on all of the channels that we are on. That's Verizon, Fios, Comcast, and Atlantic Broadband. Be sure to keep your eyes open. Follow us on the Facebook page, and you'll see all the listings for Chasing Bullitt. Now that you have learned, what do you have learned? Here endeth your lesson.